investing in promising technologies in logistics and in transportation. Well, joining us today to speak about that is Aidan Madigan-Curtis, partner at Eclipse. Aidan, it's great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you, Russell.
Aidan, it occurs to me that somebody out there may not be entirely familiar with Eclipse, not really aware of what it does, what its focus is. So walk us through that. Tell us a little something about the company.
Sure thing. Eclipse Ventures, we're a $2.7 billion venture capital firm based in Palo Alto, California. And we invest in the intersection of digital transformation and physical industries. So supply chain, logistics, transportation, critical minerals exploration, battery supply chains. If it's in the news these days, it's probably something that we're thinking about, but it wasn't always that way.
Well, it wasn't always that supply chain was in the news, that's for sure. There was a time when people had no idea that supply chain even existed. Clearly, since the pandemic and all of the disruption that brought into people's lives, many people now seem to have at least some rude idea of what supply chain is all about. What brought Eclipse to sort of focus on these particular aspects of supply chain, logistics and transportation? What's that about?
Sure. Eclipse's partnership is based on operators who all have experience working in these industries. For example, I was an executive at a company called Samsara, now public industrial IoT company for the better part of the last decade. We have executives from Flextronics, from Tesla, from Rivian. So we've been living in this universe for a long time, and we wanted to come together to actually fund some of the most promising new technologies that could really move the needle on some of the biggest challenges we think the world sees today, whether it's in deglobalization and thinking through how we manufacture back onshore or nearshore in an efficient way, whether it's thinking about decarbonization and how we make that transition to a more renewable energy basis and fuel our country and other countries in a more sustainable way, or the aging infrastructure that we face. It's been many decades since we've seen as big of an investment in our infrastructure, whether it's roads, forms of transportation, et cetera. We're really interested in how to move the needle on that front as well.
Well, talk to me about the process. Do you start with a challenge, as you call it, or maybe a problem that you see in society and decide, I want to see if there's a startup or someone who is addressing that right now? Or does a startup come to you and say, we know that you have an interest in this space, we'd like to talk to you about investment? How does it work?
Yeah, great question. And I think different investment firms differ widely on the answer to this question. Eclipse is incredibly thesis-driven. So, based on those operating backgrounds that we have, we've all stubbed our toes on broken aspects of supply chain, how to source key silicon, how to assemble in a cost-efficient way, final products we've been looking to build. I mentioned there are a few of our partners who have a deep automotive background, so they've certainly faced the challenges of bringing whole vehicles and heavy infrastructure to market. So we really leverage our backgrounds to say, what problems do we think need to be solved? From there, we have a pretty rigorous approach to asking exactly the kind of questions that you just threw out. What is the economic nature of that problem? Are we really sure that someone is willing to pay you for a solution today? How does that market work today? What are the dynamics of it? Who are the key players? What are the fundamental metrics that matter? For example, we're currently doing an exploration into medium and long duration energy storage. So the levelized cost of energy and levelized cost of storage, which is a common metric for how you'd actually think about efficiency in storage and energy generation, ends up being the metric that matter. We know that if we can come up with a solution that actually moves the needle on that metric, or if a company introduces to us a solution that they've been building that really hits those key metrics, that is an investable solution. So I'd say we're very fundamentals driven. We go and find the problem, we really analyze it, and then we'll put it out there to the world. We publish the theses that we've been thinking about on our website and on LinkedIn and in conversations like this. And we'd love to meet entrepreneurs who already have a business that are solving these problems. And sometimes if we can't find the right one out there, we'll even build it ourselves.
Now, it occurs to me that someone may be saying, I wonder what makes a technology promising in Eclipse's view. What are the specifics that you're looking for, either in a technology that's being developed or in a company itself or in the directors of that, the officers of that company? What makes it promising? Walk us through that, if you would.
Great question. I'd say three key factors that we look at when we evaluate a company that we're in conversation with. The first is fundamentally team. Does this team have a combination of the characteristics that are going to make them successful founders and leaders of their business? Do they have a growth mindset? Do they have a deep sort of product and technical orientation? Do they have the passion and the drive to really go take this from, something that might be today very small up through scale? We're looking to build $10 billion businesses in partnership with these companies, not quick turn things. We want to really change the way these industries work. So you have to believe in the founders and think that they can take it all the way. The second is the market. If you've got a great solution in a tiny market, you can't go that far with it. So we're definitely looking at, fundamentally what kind of revenues exist in that market today. What does the incumbency look like? Are there new entrants? How competitive is it? And do we really see the ability to build a business of scale? And the third is, what's the differentiation? Presumably most attractive markets have some people that have been going after problem solving in that space. So do we think these founders and the solution they're proposing can really push the needle on those metrics that matter? Are they applying their backgrounds and modern technologies in the way that we think can really be game changing?
Well, one of the things I think that I'm hearing is that when you're looking at these characteristics or traits of the individuals that are running these companies, they don't necessarily have to be gray hairs who've had a lot of experience, but they do have to be, as you say, these folks who bring a certain capability to solving that problem. So they don't have to be people who've been a long time in the industry. Am I reading that right?
Yes. In fact, oftentimes I think the best teams combine industry expertise, because you really have to know your market in order to know that you're really solving a problem that exists. It's very easy to read a McKinsey study or get a cursory sense of how something works, believe you understand it well enough to go problem solve in that space, and totally miss the mark. In that case, you don't find product market fit. You can't create a reasonable go-to-market strategy. You can't actually compel a business to growth. So we really want to know that the founders, whether they have a 30-year industry history or not, know that the problem they're solving is real and have fully validated that before we make an investment.
I got to tell you, I really do, Aidan. This is fascinating information, and thousands of people look at these videos. Do not be surprised if a number of them contact you and say, we have something that is very promising. We want to talk to you about it. Just wait for that phone call or that email. It's coming. Aidan, I know you're busy here at the conference, but you found time to talk to us about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, too.
Aidan Madigan-Curtis, Eclipse, speaking with us today about investing in promising technologies in logistics, transportation. Thanks for watching.